At the top of the mountain, my wife turned to me and said, "No one will believe you afterwards." The wind cut through the air with the force of a blade, but her words were much colder. We were nearly 10,000 feet up, in a secluded spot on the trail, with the view of miles of cliffs all around somewhere remote in Colorado. She seemed calm, almost bored, as if commenting on the weather. But I'm not stupid. At the age of 48, after 2 decades as a venture capital partner in Silicon Valley, my mind was programmed to calculate risks and anticipate movements. At that moment, I stopped being a victim. I became an observer. I'm David. She's Sarah, 7 years younger, always believing she was smarter than everyone in the room. To the world, we were the successful couple, the billionaire investor and the elegant wife. No one saw the crack, the cold calculation behind the holiday smiles. I've never been the romantic type who ignores the facts. My career has been built on data, not emotion. The birthday trip was the perfect scenario she set up for the accident. She took another step back, assessing the distance to the edge. I could see the light in her eyes, the same light I saw when she found the $50,000 diamond I hid in our Palm Springs house. Pure greed. She thought I was blind, distracted, vulnerable, too busy investing in billion-dollar startups to notice the signs that my own life was being hacked. I watched her. Her paragraphs were always short, straight to the point. Like her. Mine, I preferred to write in a notary's office. Divorce in the United States, especially in California, is expensive. Extremely expensive. She knew that because the marriage had lasted more than 10 years, the community property laws could split half of what I built after we got married. But the will, if I died in an accident, was much simpler and more profitable. No one would ask questions if the CEO of the company she helped casually run married her 6 months after my funeral. I didn't need a detective to put those pieces together. They spoke as if I were invisible. But I wasn't. I was just waiting for the climax. I had time. My revenge was not to fight. It was to let them lose alone. She began to speak quietly, almost in a whisper. "You should have updated the will, David. Your lawyer must be on vacation." Pure irony. She approached, her left hand in her coat pocket, her right towards me. It was a rehearsed movement. The false concern, the subtle touch, the push. She imagined that I would simply lose my balance on the rock wet by the ice in the morning and fall. I was silent, but inside me something screamed, the cry of injustice that the system would not be able to silence. She didn't know that days earlier I had already transferred most of my liquid assets to an irrevocable trust in the custody of my son from my first marriage. I didn't have to win by shouting. They had greed. I had the documents. She underestimated the very thing that most defined my career, my ability to anticipate movements. You can't get where I am without distrusting everything and everyone. And I'd been suspicious of Sarah ever since she started asking me about the details of my life insurance policy, which was $50 million. No wife asks this question so often without a reason. I didn't make a move. I didn't back down. I just waited for the exact moment when she thought she had total control of the situation, because that's when people really expose themselves. The fear of a person at my level is not falling off the mountain. The fear is to be humiliated, to have the legacy destroyed by the greed of a social climber. She took the last step. Her hand was inches from my shoulder, ready to execute the plan. The arrogant smile on her face was her death sentence, not mine. She leaned over and said, "Enjoy the view, dear, it will be the last." I turned around slowly, not to run away, but to face her. I just pointed to the sky, and the arrogant smile on her face dismounted, paled at the same time. I had time. She was in a hurry. I had the strategy. She had greed. And at the top of that mountain, greed had just come face to face with technology. The drone hovered above us. It wasn't a toy, nor a $500 amateur piece of equipment. It was the Matrice model, configured for search and rescue missions, capable of transmitting 4K video via satellite, and with a range of almost 10 miles. It was silent, almost invisible against the deep blue Colorado sky, but the subtle hum made Sarah freeze. She turned pale. Her body became rigid, as if she had been hit by a shock. The expression on her face turned from triumph to pure terror. At that moment, she knew. As a venture capital partner, I invested in disruptive technologies, and one of the last rounds I led was in a startup that developed encrypted surveillance and data transmission systems for remote areas. This drone was, in fact, a prototype, and I set it up even before we left Los Angeles precisely because I suspected that it would try something irreversible. I launched it discreetly onto the access trail, programming an autonomous GPS-based flight to keep up with us. She looked up at the sky, then at me. He tried to speak, but only a nasal sound came out, a murmur of denial. "Did you hear everything I said, David?" "Yes, Sarah, every word. No one will believe you afterwards," is what you said. "And enjoy the view, dear. It will be the last." The drone's microphone is very good. She tried to dissemble, regaining the posture of a worried wife. "What are you saying?" "Of course I was worried about you slipping. I didn't give her the luxury of continuing the staging. Don't waste your time. The audio is not just being recorded. It is being transmitted in real time to my lawyer in New York, and the original file has been automatically saved to the encrypted cloud, with location and time metadata verifiable by GPS. She finally realized that not only had her plan failed, but that there was now clear and incontrovertible proof of her criminal intent. Humiliation took hold of her as fast as fear. I stared at her. Silent satisfaction was my only emotion. At that moment, the drone was the judge, the jury, and her executioner. In American court, intent is crucial, and the audio of her saying that I would die in an accident was intent in its crudest form. She wasn't the first person who tried to deceive me. Years ago, a partner tried to outsmart me in a $1 million settlement, but I had all the emails saved on a private server. Fooling a partner is easy. It is difficult to overcome a man who wakes up to the truth. I realized that I didn't have to win by shouting. I took out of the equipment bag the compact screen that displayed the live stream, just to prove my point. Her face, pale, gripped by anger and despair, was there, in high definition. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice that you were trying to access my pension and investment accounts for the past 2 weeks? The security system that I developed in Silicon Valley is the same one that the Pentagon uses." His login on an unknown laptop in Las Vegas was flagged. I saw the access attempt and changed the passwords on the spot. He is his accomplice, the CEO of the company competing with mine, her new boyfriend. He thought that deleted conversations on Signal left no trace. My team managed to complete data recovery. Your plan, which was to push me to my death, get married in 6 months, and use the money to save his company, is all documented. Hi's going on trial for conspiracy to murder. Her fear was no longer the fear of being caught. It was the fear of losing everything, of being publicly humiliated, and of facing a prison sentence in the United States for conspiracy. She, the woman who thought she could manipulate law and morals, was trapped by the technology I helped fund. She began to cry, a dry cry of anger, not of remorse. "David, please." "No, it's over, Sarah. The accident that will happen is his fall, exposed by his own greed in front of the drone that recorded everything." I walked away from her, keeping a safe distance. The air became lighter, despite the cold wind. The silence of the drone was my declaration of victory. I didn't take out my cell phone to call the police immediately. I stood there watching Sarah crumble in the middle of the mountain, the drone hovering like an angel of justice, recording every tear and every attempt to apologize. I wanted her to feel the pressure, the humiliation of having her plan exposed in real time, with no chance of rewriting or manipulated narrative. "You're blackmailing me," she said, her voice hoarse, desperately trying to regain some kind of control. I laughed, a short, bitter laugh. "Blackmail? No, Sarah. This is evidence. Blackmail is what you were doing to me, forcing this isolated trip with the clear intention of eliminating me to inherit $50 million. She tried the victim tactic, the one I had seen in action many times at gala dinners when she needed sympathy. You don't understand what I went through. 7 years being the shadow of the great David. I deserve more. You deserve justice, Sarah. And that's exactly what you're going to get." At that moment, I remembered the anchor phrases that shaped my strategy. They wanted to hurry. I had time. They had greed. I had the documents. And in this case, I had the proof on video. Her fear was palpable, but my focus was not her fear. It was my safety and the guarantee that she would be held accountable. I had already triggered an emergency protocol in Silicon Valley that required discretion and efficiency. Before leaving the house, I had sent an encrypted message to my lawyer and my son, informing them of the exact location of my trail and the activation of the drone. "What's going to happen now?" she asked, her arrogance gone, replaced by a forced vulnerability. The drone will continue recording, and in about 15 minutes the rescue helicopter I rented for medical emergencies will land here. They're not just rescue, Sarah. They have a Denver police officer on board who is ready to greet her with a warrant for her arrest. I didn't leave anything to chance. That was the final move. I didn't trust the mountain internet. I relied on the logistics of a helicopter. My revenge was not loud or public. She was silent and relentless. Sometimes the best answer is written in a notary's office. She staggered backwards, almost falling. The helicopter. Did you set that up? From the moment you asked me about the life insurance policy for the third time, I confirmed. I'm a venture investor. My job is to anticipate system failure, and you were the biggest failure of my life. I turned you into a diligence project. She started screaming, but the wind carried her voice away. You're a monster. I was just trying to have my share. Your share would be half of the goods we build together, not all of it through murder. You signed a prenuptial agreement, Sarah, before renegotiating the division of assets. You weren't trying to have your share. You were trying to take what was my son's and what was mine. The conversation was no longer about the mountain. It was about the end of an era, the collapse of a successful Hollywood facade. She, the queen of glamour, was there, in the middle of nowhere, unmasked by a drone. I made a signal to the drone, a subtle hand gesture. The equipment made a brief buzzing sound and began to ascend slowly, gaining altitude. I needed to make sure the signal didn't fail when the helicopter landed. Sarah's body was shaking. She was no longer the predator. It was the prey. The clock was ticking and she knew her time was up. The sound of the helicopter breaking the silence of the mountain was the sweetest sound I've ever heard. For Sarah, it was the funeral music of her freedom. She looked up at the sky, and the way her face contorted with hatred and panic was confirmation that my plan, complex and expensive, had been worth every penny. David, please give me 5 minutes. We can talk. There's nothing to talk about, Sarah. What would you do in 5 minutes? Delete the video from the cloud? This is not possible. My lawyer already has the copy, and the original video is being downloaded in real time. Think about your next move carefully. The police officer is on board, and he listened to the recording before taking off. This is called flagrant. And in the United States, conspiracy to murder is a serious offense. She tried to argue again, using our past as a shield, but I cut her off without hesitation. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed my son's trust. You tried to destroy my legacy and the life I built. And I'm a man over 40, Sarah. I've seen things like this happen hundreds of times in Silicon Valley. I'm a trained predator, and you thought I was a distracted deer. The helicopter approached, and the wind from the blades raised a cloud of snow and dust around us. The officer got off first, a large man in a bulletproof vest and a serious face. He didn't look at me. He looked directly at Sarah. Sarah Miller, I'm Officer Baker of the Denver Police Department. You are under arrest on suspicion of conspiracy to murder. Sarah couldn't resist. She was paralyzed. Officer Baker was professional and quick. She was handcuffed in seconds, reading her Miranda rights as they carried her to the helicopter cockpit. She was without makeup, her hair disheveled by the wind. The queen of glamour had fallen. The ultimate humiliation was being taken away in handcuffs, not as a victim, but as a criminal, in a helicopter that I paid to pick her up. I was silent, but inside me, something screamed. The cry of silent justice, of revenge that did not need physical strength, only intelligence and anticipation. I saw the hatred in her eyes, the last remnant of a rotten soul. She looked at me before getting into the helicopter and said one last sentence, a defeated whisper. You'll never prove anything about my accomplice. I smiled, a slow, cold smile. I don't need to, Sarah. The drone recorded his indirect confession that there was one. My team is coming down to his house in Los Angeles right now. They have the search order for the emails and the evidence of financial transactions. He goes to trial for complicity. You will not win by shouting. Your case will be resolved in court, with my witness footage. The helicopter took off, taking Sarah away, and the drone followed her for a brief moment, ensuring that the transmission continued until she was completely out of the hazard area. I watched the helicopter drive away, feeling the dim Colorado sun warm. What I was feeling was not joy, but the cold peace of those who finally close a bad deal. I had settled the greatest risk of my life. My revenge was not to fight, it was to let them lose alone. Her plan, her greed, became her own prison. The drone hovered once more over me, before I commanded its landing on the small spot of snow I had marked. I collected the equipment, ensuring that the backup was intact. At that moment, at the top of the mountain, the scene seemed surreal. The scenario of a perfect crime, but without the victim. Just the evidence. I started to descend the mountain, each step seeming lighter than the ascent. There was no longer the weight of doubt or imminent risk. There was only the clarity of victory. The helicopter had taken away not only Sarah, but my problem. The next day, the news would be a scandal. Silicon Valley's most prominent venture capital partner arrests his wife for conspiracy to murder on the mountain. Sarah Miller's name would be forever tarnished, and so would the name of her accomplice. Her world, built on lies and ostentation, would fall apart, and my world, David's world, would goon. I wouldn't lose my fortune in a contentious divorce or my life in a fake accident. I would keep my legacy intact for my son. I realized that I didn't have to win by shouting. They spoke as if I were invisible. I was just waiting for the right moment to reveal that I was the observer. Silent justice was my most potent weapon. The silence of the drone was my declaration of war, and the sound of the helicopter was my victory. I had time. She was in a hurry. And time, in this case, was the difference between my death and her arrest. Fooling a distracted man is easy. It is difficult to beat a man who anticipates every move. I pulled out my phone and sent a simple text message to my attorney. Emergency protocol completed. Evidence on file. Initiate divorce proceedings for infidelity and attempted murder. It would be a quick and clean divorce without her being entitled to penny. She would lose the community property for committing a heinous crime. She wouldn't win anything, you know. Sometimes the best answer is written in a notary's office. I went down to the meeting point where the driver was already waiting for me. He asked no questions. He just opened the door of the SUV and drove me back to the city. I looked back up the mountain at the secluded top where Sarah's arrogance had met its end. My revenge was not to fight. It was to let them lose alone. Their greed was the poison that would kill them. I was coming home to my life, and Sarah was going to the cell. If it were you, would he have trusted the mountain or the drone that recorded everything?